Welcome to Deep Thought. Culture is powerful because it shapes behavior. You know what? I was talking about subculture yesterday, but just culture overall is powerful. I don't think people really look at it like in the way that they need to and realize how powerful it is. Let me use an example we are all familiar with one way or the other. Yes, we adhere to this particular concept in different ways, but trust me, we've all encountered that. That's religion. If you really look at religion, what is it? Any religion. Now people will say it's about connecting with the creator or living right. People have all this stuff. But if you look at the world, every single religion is a cultural system that shapes people's behavior. Like when you look at how Christians are like ideally supposed to believe. And let me be clear on it. There's an ideal and then how people behave. But it's still culture. You know, celebrating certain holidays like Christmas and Easter, you know, behaving a certain way, at least trying to. That's a cultural thing. It shapes behavior. Islam, you know, praying 5 times a day, not eating pork. You have some other paths that are vegan, some other paths that say, hey, you can eat the meat, just bless it. I mean, but those are cultural things. That's affecting how you eat. That's affecting your behavior, sexuality, having sex, how you marrying or how you mating. That's affected by culture. If you have one culture that says, oh yeah, hey, whatever you feel like, hedonistic and everything, and we've had some totally hedonistic cultures. Believe it or not, Western culture isn't as hedonistic as some people might think. Oh, it was more out there in some ancient societies. But people behave a certain way. But if you have cultures where people's sexuality is more repressed, how will they behave? One, they're not going to be as aggressive seeking sex. Another thing is they will dress a certain way. Think about it. When people dress, it's according to their culture. You know, like right now, you got all these ladies wearing these spandex and everything, shorts, you know, shorts with holes in them, push-up bras. Shoot, you got some guys out here like, you know, showing whatever. That's a cultural thing. That's a behavior thing and stuff. And like I said, this Western culture isn't as libertine as people might think it is. But what if we live in a more culture where sexuality is more under control, like an Islamic culture, you know, where the women are primarily covered up and stuff and behave in a certain way? That's significant. Because one of the things I've seen when I'm looking at relationships, when I'm looking at politics, when I'm looking at everything, I look at the culture that breeded it. When we have these gunshots, multiple people getting shot, ultimately that people might say that's human behavior, but you got places in the world where they don't even have a concept of locking doors. Where the violence is almost very rare. They both human, but what's the difference? Culture. You know? You have a culture where, like Western culture is very individualistic. But then you have some cultures where they're very more collectivist. And this don't have to do with the political system, even though the political system can impact that. But just the culture. How you cultivate. See, culture is cultivation of behavior. You know, if you want to know, in the Bible it says, raise a child the way it should go. Well, it's the culture. How did you raise that child? You cultivating to behave in a certain way, to respond to stuff in a certain way. Even food, that's more even culture. Like in the Black community, there's always this concern about high blood pressure and all of this stuff, diabetes, but there have been many holistic minded people. They say, no, it's not genetic. It's the habit. How did the habit get there? It's part of the culture. Like, let me give you something. And this is from the Black community. You know how, like, especially in those older families and stuff, they make that ham and they cut the ends of it off and everything. That's a culture thing. And it started, it started because just to get the ham in the pot. But people think, oh, okay, this is normal. This is what we had to do. That's culture. Or even something else the elder blacks used to do. They knew that swine wasn't good for them and stuff, but they would put pineapple on it, and people was like, oh, okay. But that became a cultural thing because the pineapple actually reportedly neutralized any negative elements within the ham. But it shapes the behavior. That's important. Like, I'm going to tell you what, people complaining about a lot of stuff happening. We had the violence in the news, people ready to fight and arguing, but what's the culture? Because you have many forces that are promoting a certain culture. And, it could be to exploit people politically, to exploit people economically. Because you want, you got some people, if they trying to sell a certain product, shoot, they need you to need that product. So that's one of the things when you'll get this with corporations, and I probably talked about this before, they cultivate you into buying something, and they know how to do it. Like, let me give you a little secret. Sexuality is used to move products. Think about it. It's used to move products because, say you see some type of product, and I know this is a tangent, but I got to go with the flow. You see a type of product, right? Well, it's connected to this, but let me keep going. You see a product. You might not think much about it, but if you're a man, they're using a woman to advertise the product. If you're a woman, they're using a fine man to advertise the product. You get mildly aroused. That goes into your subconscious, so you associate that product with being aroused. So when you see that someplace else, you mildly aroused, and then you more moved to buy it. Let me drop that on you. And sexuality in general, just it is a powerful shaper of it, because that sexual energy is powerful. And you've had some forces, the theys, who figured out how to use that energy to support their own goals and plans. But it shapes you, it shapes you. Culture, when we have culture, it shapes behavior. If we have a problem with the behavior of people, it's not a biological thing. Like I said, you get another part of the globe, we don't have all this violence, the shootings and all of this. And they human just the same. So it's not biological, it's the culture. If you want to change stuff, if you're looking around and thinking about the problems, I don't care what it is. It could be relationships, it could be violence, the political climate. The key is to change the culture because it shapes people's behavior. Only issue with that is who's going to do it. And let me just say something about that real quick. Your culture got to really start from within you, and then you find other people who share it. Refer back to what I said about in my podcast yesterday about ever think about creating a subculture. And real quick, whenever I talk about anything, ultimately, even if they seem totally apart, everything is together. Even though I say I just talk on here, I always have an agenda. And even two subjects could be apart on the surface, but if you look at it, it's all going the same place. Chew on that for a while. Anyway, y'all have a great day today. Peace and blessings.